Friday. The FA Cup is already underway. We've got some more tonight and a lot more on the weekend. There is nothing more you could want. Am I right in saying that, Andy?
I would like all the teams that have already played before
To get
FA
back
Cup
in.
weekend to be disqualified.
Right.
You know, like people who come out of the blocks too early on Olympic sprinting.
Oh, I see.
Because it's such an event. Nothing against your team.
round.
This
But,
can
you know.
this can be the best weekend of the season still now with all the football going on. The third round can be good because it's a bit like a murder mystery weekend. There's gonna be an upset here. Something's going to happen.
Glad you changed your
and you're just going to find
terminology.
it. You're just going to find it. Okay, there's going to be a murder. And you're just going to find it. Is it going to be Accrington at Anfield? Probably not. Is it going to be Tamworth against Spurs? Could be.
I tell you what, though, if we were to ramp this up a little bit and take this onto TV, I might look at you and say, "Oh, Gene, there's been a murder."
Yeah, I might. Alex Ferguson, he's retired now, but a bit of Taggart there.
Do you like that?
I do like that, and I'll tell you why I like it.
Yeah.
Because no matter how much gentle encouragement you receive, you will not bring your references up to date.
But I always go on the proviso that a classic never dies.
No one wants to hear Marcus's dubstep album. Come on.
Started in 1983, Taggart. Yeah.
Absolutely fine.
What's wrong with that? Which century is that? The last one?
Just do what I do and mention Childish Gambino every now and again.
People never see through that, do they?
Never see through that.
Get him doing the opening ceremony at the FA Cup. Not that we really have one, but still.
Pete's got a no use for a name T-shirt on today.
No use for a fucking name.
Oh, Peter.
Oh,
you little...
That's a shame, isn't it?
Anarchist, so-and-so. I'd like to start with some FA Cup action because we have had some. We have.
Yeah.
And it was Everton 2, Peterborough United 0. However, there was something else awry with this. Sean Dyche wasn't there.
He wasn't.
He was sacked just hours before the kickoff, Pete Donaldson. Does that strike you as a bit strange?
I think it was all to do with his severance that was taking so long. So I think he knew that the writing was on the wall, but not necessarily in a contract, which was the important bit.
Give me the first half.
Give me the first half. So it was an astonishing bit of, and again, indicative of how Everton seem to be sort of conducting their business lately. It's always at the worst time to do stuff.
Yes.
One could argue it's indicative of the Friedkins, owners who appointed the extremely popular Daniele De Rossi in charge of
Imagine
Roma.
they get him at Everton. That'd be great.
Gave him over 100 million euros worth of new players and then fired him 4 matches into the season, of which he'd lost only 1.
And who did they get in?
Ivan Juric, who's now at Southampton.
And who's in now?
Yeah.
Oh, Don Claudio.
Don
Claudio Ranieri. They're playing the hits. All I'm saying is, and we'll get to...
Now that means they're going to choose someone really unsuitable next and then get David Moyes afterwards.
Oh, do you think?
Well, if they're using the Roma template, that's what they're going to do.
So this is it. So we'll talk about David Moyes in a sec.
Yeah.
But I would, a little word of caution, but I mean, big dunk, stay away from the phone. That's what we're saying.
I was confused because I would have thought that Sean Dyche would be exactly Dan Friedkin's kind of guy. Dan Friedkin likes like old military planes. He collects them. He's a big kind of military historian guy. Sean Dyche is going to go around a battlefield with you. He is absolutely going to be interested.
He'll at
in
least
doing
watch History Channel with you.
100. He's doing it every night anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But
He'll play Age of Empires.
yeah, he would.
Did he
You
do
and
it
the bloke
last
from
night?
MasterChef.
Did he do it last night, or do you reckon he watched the game?
No, I reckon he had the game on one screen and he had Civilization on the other.
Beautiful.
On the other one.
War reenactments on the other.
Yeah. I thought it was obviously very strange timing. The situation seems weird to me just because he's out of contract in the summer anyway.
Yeah.
He's actually delivered Everton a modicum of stability as far as they've stayed in the Premier League with points deductions and stuff like that. He's also got quite a good track. I mean, I don't like Sean Dyche. Cards on the table. Anyone who listens to this show knows I don't like Sean Dyche. But the fact remains...
Don't have to say that.
I don't have to. But I choose to. I'd like to be clear, you know.
You like to be...
You're saying this in spite of yourself.
This is a high-performance podcast. We've got to be high performance. We've got to deliver all the information people need.
That's high performance.
But he has done an all right job, right? And so if he's going to be out of contract in the summer anyway, and you know there's a new regime coming in, and so he's probably going to have to fight really hard for his job and probably inevitably lose his job.
A job he doesn't want. Fight for your job you don't want.
No, but I think he does have a pride about him to the point where he thinks that he's, at least on certain... on certain subjects within the job, he's done okay. There's certain measures he's done okay.
Well, he has. I mean, the points deduction and all that kind of stuff.
So it just feels weird because unless they've got someone lined up that they think would be an improvement for the rest of the season, presumably when they're about to go into their new stadium and everything, they want to be in the Premier League.
Of course.
And I think I was speaking to someone yesterday who mentioned to me the possibility that I think that they already told Dyche, and they thought they were going to get Potter, and they couldn't get Potter.
There was chat that they were really going after.
Yeah, and so the whole thing's come falling down, which would probably feed a bit more into Andy's thing about their track record as owners, which is basically terrible, right?
Well, it depends on which metric you're looking at it. Yeah. If you're talking about like custodianship of the club, like they put lots of their own money into Roma, they've got a long way on the very thorny issue of getting a new stadium. Obviously, with Everton, that's not an issue because that's way down the line. But it's the on-pitch stuff, and it's the managing the emotions. And this is something that American owners are criticised for a lot, particularly in Italy. Managing the emotional investment of the supporters, which is something that you can really underestimate. Note Mike Ashley at Newcastle, for example, who just tried to run it like any normal business. And it's really important to someone like Everton, by the way. Yeah, of course, because what more do they have really in the last 30 years? It's not trophies, is it? Unfortunately.
Well,
actually, FA Cup was 20. Under just 29 and a half years.
Mid-90s, yeah.
Right, okay.
Out of order there.
That is...
Don't be rude to Polly ride out.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Yeah. I think your point stands, though, Andy.
Yeah, I do.
I would say so.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know what you mean, though, with regard to Dyche. I think that, again, if you look at him in the Everton hot seat, you think, okay, very difficult job, a lot of challenges. He's done okay. This season, the last season at Goodison Park, they wanted more than this, not just the free kick.
They couldn't even beat Man City.
Well, I think that was the real final nail in the coffin. But to give Goodison a good send-off, it's not a case of, we just scraped, survival and all that. Yeah. If Dyche was to be given to the end of the season, which he's not, they probably would have stayed up, probably. But that would be more down to Jordan Pickford having to make save after save after save. He's been playing like a man possessed. So I can see why that they've thought, bloody hell, okay, let's have a twist now, and Moyes is in the frame. But last night it was Leighton Baines and Seamus Coleman who took charge.
Proper like full-back men behaving badly stuff.
What a tag team. I mean, apparently Dyche even picked the team, didn't he? Baines said that he was called in and the team was already picked, and he just made a few tweaks. And are those tweaks enough? If Everton go all the way,
would he be claiming the tweaks if they hadn't won?
Yeah, well,
that's Dyche's pick. I didn't think it felt out of order to tweak it.
I did wonder if Everton would go all the way and win the FA Cup, are the tweaks enough to ensure Dyche doesn't get a medal?
I'm not sure.
I'm imagining like a tweak of like tightening the guitar slightly.
I'm not sure Dyche gets a medal for having not managed them for a single game in the FA Cup.
Well, people,
to get a medal.
People are soft these days, mate.
They are.
But the way that,
as he would say, woke nonsense.
The way that Leighton Baines gave that interview, it made you feel as if Sean Dyche was behind the curtain while he was speaking. He looked an absolute bag of nerves. And I understand he's been dropped into an absolutely impossible situation. But I guess this is another thing that goes back to how the owners, in the sense of what the fans feel, and that's not necessarily how you should 100% how you should run a football club, but you've got to take that into account. And the sense is that you talked about that last bit of joy for the last season at Goodison Park. Well, honestly, whether they miss relegation by 4 points or whether they finish 14th, I mean, globally, that probably doesn't make a massive difference. If they can have a bit of a run in the FA Cup, that does make a difference. And a lot of these type of bottom line owners just don't give a shit about the FA Cup. And that's a problem. That's a major problem to most fan bases, isn't it?
Well, that is true, Andy. You're absolutely right. I mean, obviously Everton beat Peterborough 2-0 last night.
But they made it way harder for themselves than they should have done, mainly not through the players' fault.
It was nice to see them scoring some goals, Andy. I mean, under Dyche, goals have been very few and far between, of course. He's been relying on clean sheets, really. And again, even if you take the sentimentality out of it with regards to the last season at Goodison, you're talking about Premier League survival, and there is something about going into a new stadium. You don't want to have the best stadium in the Championship, and so I think we can all understand why they've twisted here. The names that have been mentioned, obviously Moyes is the big one. Jose Mourinho's name was mentioned, which I thought seemed quite funny. I think he's still enjoying slagging off everybody in Turkey.
Also, doesn't he hate the Freaking Group?
Well, he was employed by them at Roma. Was it last season?
He was slagging
last season,
recently as last season.
He was slagging down Freaking off the whole time.
He said he didn't know anything about football.
Little knowledge of football.
He did. He also said he was most hurt by his firing at Roma than he was at any other firing.
He'd built quite the bond with the fans there, hadn't he?
Yeah.
It might have been on the wane slightly, but still. But I don't think we'll see Jose in the city of Liverpool anytime soon. But David Moyes has reportedly held talks with the Friedkin Group. But Moyes did say, I think it was even last month, he said that he didn't want to take a job where it was just a relegation battle, or that would be what it would entail.
What, you're getting offered though, David?
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, he spoke about when he was last at Everton, and he said, we were looking up the table. There was the Champions League stuff. He spoke about his time recently at West Ham, of course. So, we were in Europe quite a lot, going deep in the Europa League.
In Europe.
Won the Europa Conference League, of course. So he did seem to be distancing himself.
According to Andy Brassel, he did exactly what should have been expected of him with West Ham in the Europa Conference League, right? Yeah.
Well, either way, expectations have been met, Andy.
Everyone's happy.
It's a trophy still.
You come away satisfied.
Well, you're not disappointed.
No, exactly.
Right, exactly.
If you don't want a relegation battle, Luton's open. Go Luton.
That is even that.
Yeah.
Poor old Robbie Eddie.
I could do,
sad,
just in my position as a Portsmouth fan, I could do without them getting a competent manager next.
Right, okay. Okay.
Just be careful with the power you're wielding on that microphone there.
It was sad to say. I don't want to get sidetracked, but it was sad to see Rob Edwards leaving Luton, wasn't it?
They've been poor, though.
They've been poor away from
I understand the reasons.
But it was quite a nice way that they sort of said he's not only an ex-manager, he's a friend, and he'll always be welcome at the ground.
And look at that handsome face.
And look at that handsome face.
Yeah. No, you don't get to sing Bon Jovi in the square on the way out.
No, I think you should be made to do that.
Never say goodbye. One for the fans there. One for the fans.
One for the heads.
That deep cut. Bon Jovi deep cut on a Friday.
It's on slippery when.
One for the BJ fans.
I think in the interest of balance, if you are going to sing Bon Jovi when you've been promoted to the Premier League, you should be made to sing it as you are sacked unceremoniously in the middle of January because you're struggling for your survival in the Championship. I think it's only fair.
You're going to struggle coming out of Kenilworth Road when you're 20th in the Championship singing Blaze of Glory.
Blaze of Glory, 100%.
Well, that's a John Bon Jovi song. It's not a Bon Jovi song.
Andy, if you're going to come at the King...
Was that the one from the Young Guns 2 soundtrack?
Correct.
Right, thank you.
Yeah.
Great tune, by the way.
It is a great song. Something we can finally all agree on.
It would be a hard heart indeed that would deny Marcus that that's a great tune.
You know what? You know who can absolutely go fuck himself? Darren Ferguson.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you're bringing all the way back.
Little fucking Royston Versey prick.
Yeah. Go on. Why is this? Because he didn't bring on the young lad.
Because he didn't bring on Young.
He didn't bring on Young.
Play against his
Did you hear what
dad.
he said? Hear what he said?
Little prick.
He said it was very difficult to leave Tyler on the bench, but I had to do what was best for the team. Of course, I mean, for people who didn't watch the game, Peterborough were in the game until the 98th minute. It was only 1-0. Last minute penalty meant that they lost 2-0. Yeah. Darren Ferguson went on to say, one of their players had a pop at me. Which is bang out of order because we are not a charity case. So
Evertonian.
I like the idea of
bring him on your prick.
Bring him on your prick.
But presumably it was Ashley Young, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So it was.
Was it actually?
Yeah, it was on the socials.
Did he? Right, okay, he had to go. Brilliant.
I just love the idea of him sort of sitting in the press conference room with like steam coming out of his ears going, we won't put up with any sort of nepotism.
Oh my goodness. An opposition player.
A bit fucking rich, innit?
Yeah. An opposition player.
Sorry, Darren, can we see your league winners medal, actually? Because if you want to talk about nepotism, let's talk about it now.
That's half.
Hey, Brian Robson was injured, so that's why he got his.
Roy Keane said, didn't he? He said that Alex Ferguson always says that he does the best for... he always did the best for Man United Football Club, no matter how hard it was. And he just starts listing off his stuff. Darren Ferguson, he's got a league winners medal. Sir Alex's brother was chief scout for about 25 years.
Well, to be fair, it all worked out well. I mean, a league winners medal, that means they won the league.
It's very hard to criticise the record. That's fair enough.
I just find it astounding that an opposition player tells the opposition manager to make a substitution. And specifically
bring on my son. Don't substitute me on my son ever again.
That's great.
As part of that Roy Keane rant as well, he was asked who was the best manager ever worked under, and he said Brian Clough.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Classic. Just Contrary.
Way past his best.
The bloke who punched you in the face.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did he not say that he deserved it or he learnt from it? Or
Something like that.
There we are,
Something probably difficult to justify.
So Everton are in the next round. And who will be the manager for their fourth round tie? Andros Townsend said David Moyes won't take a job for 6 months. He respects himself more than that.
I heard that actually. That was on BBC. That was on BBC Radio. I heard Andros Townsend. I think he's quite an interesting pundit to listen to.
Former Evertonian Andros Townsend. Yeah, you're right. He was good when he was it World Cup or Euros?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting point to make, and we've talked about it in the context of Ruben Amorim, where we say, it's not ideal the way the football calendar is for a manager to come in at that point, because you're only coming in. Man United's kind of ambitions are different to Everton's at this point. I understand that, but the principle is that you're coming in for a reason. You're coming in because someone's lost a job from doing an incompetent job, right? And it could be bad or it could be really bad, and you don't really get a chance to get off that treadmill to actually put your own ideas in. And we don't know what's going to happen the rest of the season with United, but actually the last time Amorim's United played, they did pretty well, and it was off the back of Amorim saying, I just need a week with the players. And he got a week and they looked pretty good. So if you come in at this stage of the season, you're firefighting, I think it's really tough, particularly given that David Moyes has got a record of some description at Everton before. I mean, he's delivered like big league finishes for them and was there for a long old time and only left because Man United came knocking. So there's a lot of history there as well. So I could totally understand this specific situation, why you wouldn't want to take it at this point. And I'd also add, for the reasons that have been touched upon by some of you guys, David Moyes, I think, too regularly, incorrectly gets bracketed up with those Sam Allardyce, Alan Pardew type managers. He's actually better than that, and his profile doesn't lend him to being seen as better than that. But I actually think he is better than that. And some of the football isn't great, but he's achieved quite a lot, and so it's not unreasonable to suggest that he should perhaps wait to the summer, which is why it's mental, or even more mental, that they got rid of Dyche now. They should line Moyes up by all means. He'd probably take the job if you said, like, we want you in the summer, and you've got Dyche to take you through till the to survival, and then you kick on.
You see that Nathan Patterson got a start. Remember, he got slapped by Dyche at that party. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
He started last night, so he might get his game.
That's your reward.
Yes,
that's your Leighton Baines tweet.
Scottish international.
That's the tweet, wasn't it?
Right up.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Everton are through to the next round. Dyche won't be there to see it, though. We hope Amanda Broja is. That was an awful injury.
Yes, it
my
was.
goodness. But Broja, I mean, he's a good player, obviously on loan from Chelsea. I thought to myself, all right, he might get some minutes here at Everton, play a little bit, and then that happened. So, all the best to him. There was another sacking, of course. You spoke about it on Ramble Reacts. Julian Lopetegui was sacked by West Ham United. They've appointed Graham Potter on a 2.5-year deal. Andy?
Well, it looks great in the tracksuit, which is, a great start, I think.
Yes.
It needed to happen, clearly, as we spoke about the other night. And I just think West Ham just needed to act probably a few weeks ago. Now, maybe that wouldn't have aligned with Potter's timeline, but they've made a real bloody mess of sacking Lopetegui.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully for them, it goes much better under Graham Potter, and I think there's reasons to hope that he would be successful there. You would hope he gets to play something akin to the sort of football he played at Brighton. He's definitely got the players to do it, because it is a squad that has underachieved under Lopetegui, has underachieved in the Premier League under Moyes for a couple of seasons as well. They have been going sideways. The Lopetegui throw of the dice didn't work, and it always felt, of course, as Jim was saying on Wednesday's show, there should be a lot of scrutiny on the sporting director, Tim Steedten, because to start out with Amorim as your idea and end up with Lopetegui's mad, it shows that there's no real strategy. It's just a next cab off the rank sort of strategy, and it transpired. I think Lopetegui's an all right coach, but obviously it didn't work, and obviously they didn't really have a plan as to how it would work. I think with Potter, it's clear that he's done his due diligence, because the amount of jobs he's turned down. I mean, you talked about Ajax, Milan, he turned down Lyon, Eintracht Frankfurt, a couple of jobs over here. To spend nearly 2 years out of the game is a massive gamble, especially when you've had to work as hard to get to the top as Potter has.
Yeah,
but he's learned Spanish in his time out of management. Was he thinking just in case one of the big boys in Spain?
Could be.
Who knows? Who knows?
But anyway, and obviously he would have turned down Everton because they were courting him as well. What would you think of this then, Luke Moore? Do you think it's a good fit?
It's a really interesting appointment. I think I completely agree with what Andy said. West Ham feels to me like it's there, ready to go, right? And the big complaint of and why kind of David Moyes became untenable, really, was because the type of football they were playing, it was seen to be that all the players that they'd brought in, particularly late on in Moyes' tenure, they just weren't using them properly. Like I know quite a few West Ham fans, and some of whom who go pretty regularly. They're like, "This is look at the players we've got," and we're sitting there waiting for the other team to do something before we do anything. We cannot take the game to any
Very
other team.
passive,
At one point, they had like Antonio leading the line, Paquetá, Kudus, Bowen, all these amazing attacking players, and never really did much. Which is why I think for a period of time, the fan base had some patience with Lopetegui, because it felt like he was trying to do something a bit different, which is what they're crying out for. And I think if they had been able to get Amorim, that would have been amazing, absolutely amazing, because of the type of football he plays and the players that they've got. But with Potter, I think he needs patience. You've got to give him time to kind of work through how he wants to play. I think that he probably will get time, chiefly just because I don't think West Ham are realistically going to be in a relegation battle. They're not really. I mean, it's probably gone for them to be pushing up towards European places as well.
I mean, for that reason, this was what Pete and I were saying the other night. It's like a perfect half season. Yeah, really. It's a good way to
It's
get
completely
them
opposite to like going and taking Everton now, or going and take Man United now. It's the opposite to that,
because they do have something to play for. They don't want to have something to play for, but they do have something to play for.
And they've got good players. Yeah. I'll actually listen to someone making the argument that Everton have actually got quite good players as well. I think Everton have got much better players than they've shown.
They've got a better squad
than West Ham have definitely got a great set.
100%.
And so it could be really good. I would be super excited if I was a West Ham fan, just because of what I've seen Potter do in the past. I wouldn't put too much stock in what happened at Chelsea for all the obvious reasons. Everything he's done before then has been amazing. So it's a great, really positive thing for them.
Peter, your de facto father-in-law, Frank Champion, what's he saying about?
I don't know. I've not.
He must be happy.
I've not checked the pulse of Frank on this appointment, but as we were saying on React, like, he likes three at the back. Do West Ham have three fit defenders? That's the question. And also, like, Potter historically has always been the sort of person who's not. Their sides have never been that clinical in front of goal. They've been quite kind of like midfield heavy. I think he'll need to be a lot more prolific than what he's been in the past. But some of these players, like you said, these really talented footballers, some of them will need just an arm around the shoulder, and Potter is a man with his raw neck who can give him that.
Well, indeed. It didn't click under Lopetegui. It's fair to say. Well, Potter will be in charge for West Ham's game tonight at De Villa Park.
Yeah, that surprises me. Yeah. If I was him, I just would have sat in the stand and watched it.
This is the Potter difference,
and that's why, Andy, that you are mid-level performance and not high. Yeah. He's been on Jake Humphrey's podcast, as we know.
Andy, Marcus got a high performance point on the Jack's Encyclopedia Christmas special because of that.
It was an enormous point.
It was massive.
An enormous point.
It was massive. It wasn't made of plastic.
I framed that. So that's why, Andy.
But something
we can all learn from.
Can I just bring this back round to a complaint, which is that this FA Cup game between Aston Villa and West Ham tonight is the dictionary definition of a boring game that's been put on telly because it's two Premier League teams.
All right, we'll see.
Yep. I'm very, very unhappy that it's been selected.
We'll see. One Premier League side is through to the next round, along with Everton, of course.
Hey.
It's the mighty Whites. Team Fulham gubbed Watford 4-1.
Some great goals.
Muniz scored a lovely one.
Can I take some special time to say the technique and timing on that Rodrigo Muniz goal was amazing.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
Is it going to be Fulham's year, do you think?
For what?
For a lot of matches to come.
Marco Silverware.
Oh, imagine it. It's like Ranieri when he brought out Andrea Bocelli, right? But Marco Silva brings out
Andy Brassel.
JBJ. he comes down a boat on the Thames, John Bon Jovi, like Beckham did that time for the Olympics, and delivers the Premier League trophy to Marco Silva.
Yeah, but it'd be strange. Why would
you jizz? Would you jizz?
Come on. By Jovi, I would. Why?
Just in your pants. No one notices.
What's the point in doing it then?
Spoken like a true showman.
The man,
Yeah.
Well, from one to
if
the
Marcus jizzes in a forest.
Yeah, there's no one around.
Yeah. Well, what was once a royal hunting lodge, of course. But why would he bring up Bon Jovi? I don't understand. I mean, more like Madonna, because doesn't she live in Lisbon now?
Oh, okay, right.
Right, okay.
I'm just trying to think.
I'm trying to think of a Portuguese connection. I'm struggling.
What's the most Fulham recording artist that you could come out? Oh, it's Example, presumably. He's a Fulham fan, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Jim put the nail on the head. Was it Mumford and Sons or something like that? Or Fleet
something like
Foxes?
that. Yeah. Fleet Foxes. They've done nothing to deserve that criticism.
What's it? Why? That's not criticism.
Marcus Mumford's a Wimbledon fan as well.
Oh,
Yes, he is,
is he?
famously, yeah.
Oh no, okay.
Yeah, when I had
Do you
to
welcome
be,
him? Do you welcome him?
Well, when I had to be the face of the Bond campaign when they did the Plough Lane Bond, someone from the club literally rung me up and said, "Look, right, we haven't got that many famous fans, and Marcus Mumford's in America at the moment." So.
Let's be honest, they were trying to get a Marcus down there. They
got the wrong Rambler.
Exactly. Very nice.
Oh, dear,
But, there were some great goals in that game. That Varta goal was amazing as well.
That was a good goal.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, and I don't mean this facetiously,
Ooh.
we talked about sort of being caught on the hop by FA Cup third round games being on the Thursday night before the Saturday.
Yes.
The stands were really empty
They were.
at Craven Cottage.
Well, Watford took their share, to be fair.
They did, but in terms of the home fans, why was that? Like pricing, saturation?
Well, Marcus Silva said after the game, it's a great competition. The only strange thing is to be playing on a Thursday night. So he agreed with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's probably all this. It was also about -3 last night.
It was cold.
And the wind rips off that river.
Not with a new stand.
Fair enough.
Not with a new stand.
Hot tub in full effect?
Yeah,
That'd be nice on a cold day.
Yeah, I don't believe it's open yet.
Right. What are they going to do? It's just a hole in the ground with some water. Get it sorted, guys.
Which is why you don't make hot tubs. Don't do that as your sales pitch.
Everyone's got diseases.
So according to you, like a hot tub and a sinkhole is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a hole in the ground with
I'll do a
water
hot
in.
tub for you. She's got a spade over his shoulder. Yeah.
Dynamite.
Get the kettle on.
And once again, you didn't get the contract. All right, coming up after this, can Salford City cash in their Manchester City voucher?
I'm really good. I'm a handsome man and I seduce them and we do it. So I'm really good.
Ooh. Pep on how he gets the best out of his players.
That's the weirdest Pep I've heard.
Do you think?
Oh, yeah.
When he goes a bit giggly, is it?
Sinister, yeah.
Well, Manchester City, the team currently managed by Pep Guardiola at the time of recording, are hosting Salford City on Saturday, 5:45. That smells like a TV time to me, Andy Brassel.
Is it banana skin? Is this a banana skin?
For
Can it be a
Salford?
banana skin? Well,
They're flying high in League Two, currently third. They've won 8 of their last 9 matches.
yeah.
It would be.
It's not going to happen, but
You mentioned.
I'm going to be watching it.
You mentioned ejaculate in the first part of this show. Gary Neville. We could have a new soundbite for Jack's Encyclopedia if they win it.
I think that's the angle, isn't it? The fact that they're this sort of like budget Manchester United. They're like pop-up Manchester United, aren't they?
They are. They are, absolutely, yeah. They're like Man United on Wish.
Yes.
Am I right in saying that Ryan Giggs might be in the dugout? He's one of the coaches there.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Is he really?
There was a mate screenshotted
an
the
unwelcome
BBC
return.
the BBC website, and it had like 3 Sean Dyche stories, and then what's happened to Ryan Giggs? Kind of like somebody chose to drop their what's happened to Ryan Giggs story.
Is that right?
At the end of that particular screenshot, which was amused me slightly.
Yeah. Well, we know Carl Robinson will definitely be in the dugout.
Right.
So Ryan Giggs is the director
From
of football,
Neighbours.
apparently.
He's director of football, yeah. But I wonder if he was okay. Man, he'll be there.
He'll be there.
We were there.
Why do you care?
I don't know. No, I was saying it'd be unwelcome to see.
But
him.
there is part of me that would be if Salford City were managed to do it at Man City, and Andy's absolutely right to point out that they're just a budget Man United, and it's all very kind of unedifying in one way. But if they were to score like a last-minute winner and Beckham, Butt, Giggs, Neville, Scholes all run on the pitch, that would be amazing.
Obviously, it would.
It'd be so good.
If Giggs whipped his top off and he's still got the chest wig, it would be great. Even though he's very, very an unsavoury character,
Very problematic.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, surely Man City and all.
It does make me laugh when you see Gary Neville doing all this management stuff on punditry. Oh yeah, we can't do this with the manager. You can't do that with the manager. It's like. Yeah, you've been for like 5 managers in 5 years at Salford, mate. So
different levels, different gravy.
Different levels. Well, since Manchester City lost 1-0 to Wigan in the 5th round of the 2017-18 FA Cup, they've won their last 24 matches against sides from a lower division by an aggregate score of 88-12.
I guess the figure that really pops out at you there is they've conceded 12 goals. How have they managed to do that?
That was a surprise to me as well, Andy. Man City, surely are going to win this game, aren't they?
Well, you'd think so.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what it'll be, Andy? It's a tea time treat on Saturday. People will settle down with a cup of tea or whatever. They'll stick it on, and everyone will watch it for about 8 or 9 minutes. When Man City score their first goal, and then they'll turn it off.
It'll be a deflected goal that goes in. And
I'd love to see the TV ratings, how they line up with exactly when Man City score their first goal. Because if it goes to like an hour and it's still 0-0, everyone's going to be watching it.
Yeah.
I guess the interesting thing is, given their form of the last couple of months, what team does he actually pick? That's the interesting one. Because
the preview I read, it was a very, very scratch team.
Well, the thing is,
really,
do you think if you're Pep Guardiola, we need winning reps?
That's what I thought. I think he'd probably choose a stronger team than you'd imagine, because he just feels that they need game time. They need games from winning positions.
It was 2 years ago. Cole Palmer's getting a start in this, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about it.
Absolutely right. Do you see that the Man City have they managed to sign Omar Marmoush from Frankfurt yet?
No.
There was reports that it were very close to it.
Andy, explain what type of player he is in a language that we all understand. What kind of player is he?
Does he get to the byline and whip it in?
He's an attacking wide player, but one who wants to cut in and score goals.
Is he Arjen Robben, Jared Bowen, like that kind of player?
He's really quick. And he's developed into a great finisher, a great last passer as well. There's no massive urgency for Eintracht Frankfurt to sell him in this transfer window. They are hoping to get some sort of auction together. Where City are closer is on a defender, Abdulkadir Kuzanov from Lens, and they're going to end up paying a lot of money for him. Lens need to sell this month because they had 2 big sales that fell through in the summer. 20 years old, Uzbek has been one of the best defenders in the league. Lens picked him up for €100,000 a year and a half ago, and they're going to sell him for the thick end of 40 million. I mean, that is an amazing deal. And
surely he's going to be the first Uzbek to ever play in the Premier League.
Well, I was about to say.
Yeah, I think so.
Must be. I couldn't tell you a single other Uzbekistani player. Yeah, amazing. Maybe it's a Jackson Encyclopedia question. Short one. A very short one.
If you can remember his name, you'll win it.
But I think what's interesting is if you look at both Kuzanov and Marmoush, regardless of whether they manage to get one or both, it says we're starting to rebuild. Yeah, because of the sort of players they are.
It's also saying we acknowledge that something has to change. Yeah, we have to freshen this up in some way.
And the other interesting thing is neither of those is a central midfielder.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
How about that, Andy? Elsewhere in the
exactly
in the northwest of England, Accrington Stanley, 19th in League Two, head to Liverpool for the first time since the third round of the FA Cup, in which they went there in 1955-56.
Yep,
season.
You've got to be able to sniff out. This is your responsibility as a football fan this weekend, is to be able to sniff out which of these games is going to cause an upset. Now, I don't think Salford City or Accrington against Liverpool falls into that.
No. Salford would be more likely.
Yeah, I don't think Morecambe going to Stamford Bridge falls into that either.
Yeah.
But there are opportunities here. I think...
Man United at Arsenal?
Possibly. We're going to come on to that, aren't we? But I'm just saying there's always something that's surprising at this weekend, which is why it's so good.
Yeah.
No, I guess with Chelsea and Morecambe, I'm working out whether Chelsea can play an even weaker team than they've been playing.
We've seen their C side. Have they got a D and an E side? Possibly. Possibly. It should be
disrespectful
enough.
to an historic competition, that would be from them, wouldn't it? You can't treat that...
Not for me, because it would give Morecambe more of a chance.
You can't treat the FA Cup with more disdain than you're treating the Europa Conference League. I think that's unacceptable.
No, because you would say, well, actually, let's make it more competitive for Morecambe, and actually it makes the tie more interesting. So in one sense, you could say they're respecting the competition.
It's also difficult to tell because I can't recognise quite a lot of Chelsea players anyway. So I don't know if they're playing a weaker team or not.
Well, Arsenal play Manchester United on Sunday at 3 p.m. We should be able to recognise some, if not most of them. Perhaps Wayne Rooney will be on punditry duty. Obviously, he was sacked by Plymouth. That would be something that we would all welcome, wouldn't it? Seeing our Wazza back in the punditry box, Peter.
Let's get back on that big Wayne Rooney horse.
Yeah. Can you think of
He's a stallion.
Pete, can you think of a circumstance where you wouldn't be happy to see Wayne Rooney?
Cockpit.
I don't know. I think he'd do his
cockpit
best.
Surgery.
Good hand-eye coordination. To be fair,
yeah, he would.
Yeah. worse than that, he's in the cockpit in the captain's seat. In the first officer seat, Phil Barsley.
They're just chinning each other.
I hope the autopilot's working.
Not the worst Phil in that that I could have thought of in that situation.
Oh, he's head of the cabin crew.
That's right.
The thing is, he's such a famous multitasker.
Do you want a hot towel?
You think of that goal against Newcastle where he's having the row with the ref.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know he's capable of technical excellence while simultaneously holding up a row. So if he was doing...
Landing a plane.
You can imagine him doing brain surgery and tearing out the anaesthetist at the same time.
If I was, on a semi-serious note, if I was Wayne Rooney, I would be doing everything I could to get some kind of like coach's job at Man United. Like I'd be saying, I'll do anything. I'll do academy.
I know what you mean.
Just because he needs a reset. He clearly got a passion for what he wants to do. He's obviously not very good at it at the moment, which is fine. You know, it's understandable. Get in somewhere where you can learn your trade. The problem is,
I guess it's all about job selection, isn't it? Like any coaching career is all about job selection. And I think the Plymouth one doesn't look like a great pick in retrospect. I mean, how could he succeed there? What would success have looked like, really? It's just him being absolutely desperate to be involved, which is admirable in a way.
No, but you're right, Andy. You've got to pick and choose a little bit.
And you can fry your reputation in 2 or 3 jobs, can't you?
There's a similarity with the Steven Gerrard thing, who obviously started off in the setup at Liverpool. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Comes through. If he goes through the academy, becomes assistant for a couple of years, there's precedent for that. Of course, he can't resist going to Rangers, does okay. Aston Villa goes to shit. Now he's nowhere.
But
he's nowhere.
You say he probably left Rangers too quickly. 'Cause he was doing well there.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, the Arsenal Man United game is going to be a fascinating one. We will learn, probably, given the history of this fixture and given it's the FA Cup and given it's on TV and all the rest of it, we'll learn, because Man United will obviously take it seriously. They'll have to. And we'll learn whether there's been a platform put in by Emirates United or whether it was just an anomaly last time they played.
Yeah.
And that's why it's interesting.
Yeah. There aren't going to be as many Manchester United fans there as there might have been. They've been allocated 1,000 fewer tickets than the maximum capacity available at the Emirates. They're not very happy about this. This happened, I think, last time or in a previous cup tie against Liverpool, and it was due to safety reasons.
Well, I thought it's probably because Sir Jim Ratcliffe didn't want to pay for them.
Maybe that was what it was. They were suggesting that the 1,000 tickets that I believe are not going to be sold. There might just be a few empty seats in a particular section. They were saying they should go to emergency workers or...
Of course they should. Kids or school kids or whatever.
But that wasn't thought of, obviously, and they said, we don't have enough time to do that, because presumably saying to people, here's a ticket, can you go to the football, is that's not how it works.
I was at Sainsbury's at the checkout, and there was like Ineos hand gel.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Do they make hand gel as well as
they
those
make a lot of
Range Rover things?
Evidently.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, it's one of my greatest pleasures of 2024 when my wife picked up one of those when we were going through self-checkout in Sainsbury's, and she's an extremely virtuous person. So the occasional chance to take the moral high ground is really good. And as she scanned it and put it in the bag, I went, "You're supporting fracking." And Man United.
Which one's worse, though?
Who knows? Now, the aforementioned West Ham are reportedly interested in taking Marcus Rashford on loan. What do we think of that?
I think he absolutely needs a move.
And I think, as Vish was saying, he needs a permanent move, not on this loan muck.
But it's going to be a loan if it is to be in January.
Yeah, the financials make it's going to be
unless
a loan,
it's Saudi Arabia, it's going to be a loan move.
And I can see. I don't really know, obviously, Rashford's mindset, but West Ham do have an attraction now, given that Potter's in there.
Yeah,
could be a bit Lingsy.
Yeah,
could be a bit.
J-Lings,
but J-Lings is such fun.
Yeah.
Whatever he manages to do in terms of scoring goals is going to be a disappointment, isn't it?
Yeah.
I saw a man on the tube with a J-Lings baseball cap on once.
I like it.
No way.
Yeah, I did.
Was it Jim Campbell?
I didn't even know they sold them. No.
Oh, okay.
You're much more likely to wear one than Jim is.
Yeah, but I'm not.
You don't really wear baseball caps, do
No,
you?
I don't
I've
wear
never
baseball.
seen you wear a baseball. Have you ever worn one?
Oof, only in the cover of darkness.
As an adult, have you ever put a baseball cap on your head?
Don't think so.
No, I wouldn't have thought you would.
I remember when I was covering Portugal at a World Cup, remember seeing Hugo Almeida, who was their backup striker at the time, decent enough player, him coming off the coach for every game with, how Roger Federer's got his branded caps, like RF. Hugo Almeida had HA9 on a cap. And I thought, honestly, even your mum hasn't got one of those.
Trying to take off, trying to get...
really?
They went through a phase, Nike, of doing that stuff, didn't they? Because obviously you got the Tiger Woods one as well, and I think a lot of J-Links tried to get it off the ground, because I think they just want to think about their personal brands beyond the football and stuff.
Jesse Lingard's J-Ling's fashion brand has been forced to fold because of £300,000 worth of debt. So,
I should never have hired you, the creative director, Peter.
I know, right? Let's put this brand on hamsters. Let's shave it into hamsters. Come on,
Petey, would you be happy to receive a CR7 cap if they do them?
I'll wear anything people send me.
Look at what he's wearing now.
Yeah. I've eaten mystery meat people have sent me.
I wouldn't want you to see
I'll
you wearing
put
a
anything
cap.
on.
It wouldn't be right.
No.
Your beautiful hair
I instantly look like... Who was that sort of music sort of creator / sort of boy band manager of the 80s who turned out to be
Jonathan King.
Jonathan King. Yeah. I automatically like Jonathan King whenever I put a baseball cap on. It is uncanny.
Happy to move on, chaps, when you are. Now,
Arsenal versus Man United.
I just want to say, Cristiano Ronaldo is apparently urging his club Al Nassr to sign Casemiro.
Anyone.
You can have him. You can have him. Like Casemiro's up for it.
Absolutely no-brainer.
All of those parties are up for it.
Absolutely right.
Nobody needs to be urged to do anything.
If he's not at Al Nassr by the end of next week, it is Manchester United's fault. It shows you that club don't know what they're doing. Right, coming up after this, Tottenham travel to Andy Peakes' Tamworth. Gentlemen, Tamworth against Spurs on Sunday at 12:30. Ooh, Luke Moore. Could this be a murder?
I think there is the ability there for Tamworth to make it very difficult for Spurs. I think the proper agricultural long throw tactics from the beautifully named Tom Tonks, which did for Huddersfield Town the first round, by the way.
Tom Tonks.
Tonks.
Yeah, he's got a massive long throw.
Yeah,
and Tamworth have got a artificial pitch, and it's very close in as you'd expect.
Yes.
And again, they knocked Huddersfield out in the first round.
Yes.
Huddersfield's a League One side. They're actually doing very well in League One. I think they were 7th at the time, and they're about 3rd or 4th now. Tom Tonks put a throw in him, and it completely bamboozled the entire Huddersfield team to the point where the goalkeeper just basically palmed it into his own net.
Yeah.
And the highlight of it was Chris Sutton on co-coms laughing away in the background about how it happened. I'm not suggesting Spurs are easily undone by that kind of basic stuff. But look, there'll be 4,000 people in the Lamb Ground. Spurs have got players out. They've got a packed schedule. Their
focus is on the League Cup now.
I also watched a lot of them against Burton, who are a better side than them. And what they're really good at doing is dragging Burton into the trenches with them, just making it really hard. It felt a bit like, you've got a boxing fight where you've got a fighter versus a boxer. And the one thing the boxer doesn't want to do is get dragged into a fight. He wants to be at the end of his jab and keep him at arm's length and use his superior boxing skills.
Do a professional job.
Yeah, and Spurs have obviously got more than enough to do that. But, I actually think there's a reasonable chance. I would say there's more chance of Tamworth getting something out of this than there is Accrington against Liverpool, Morecambe against Chelsea, Salford against Man City.
100% agree.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one because they are capable. I don't want to do them with disservice, but they are capable of turning it into proper muck and nettle stuff.
I think the other thing is this is a match where Ange Postecoglou finally has to rotate, because he's had no chance to do that because the squad has been down to the bare bones. Now, if there's a game in which he feels he can maybe get away with it, I mean, this is their Galatasaray away all over again, really, isn't it? So it'd be interesting to see. I don't want to get bogged down in the name thing, but the Tom Tonks thing, we were talking about Andy Peakes, the manager, the other night, weren't we, Pete, on Reacts? Because it reminds me a little bit of, because obviously Andy Peakes fits beautifully with Tamworth because they're famous for the snow dome. The ski slope there, which is absolutely brilliant. It's really good fun, by the way. It reminds me a little bit of Wolfsburg when you go back to, I think, the late 90s, when they had Wolfgang Wolf as their coach and Peter Panda as his assistant. I mean,
those guys should never hang out together.
No, they should always hang out together.
Yes,
they should.
Fine.
Yeah.
That is good. Well, did you see that Tamworth have used some of their FA Cup earnings to employ Andy Peakes full time, and he's quit his job at a local college? That's what you're dealing with down here in the National League, of course.
Do you think they'll play Marcus conservatively?
Possibly.
That's where the Tamworth Manifesto is where Robert Peel basically started the modern Conservative Party. It's just
okay. I'm glad you gave us that extra information.
I mean, for once, to be fair, I'm actually quite interested in that.
Yeah,
very good.
I'll talk about the Corn Laws next.
Do it more confidently because I was interested in that.
Peter, I don't think you should labour your point about the Conservatives.
Reform the way you broadcast, you'll be fine.
Trying to
get involved.
wigs.
I know it was your first time hearing it, Andy, but don't act all green.
Don't be out of order to Pete. That's nasty. 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 Come on.
Okay. Where were we? Tamworth.
Yeah.
Yes. They play on a sloped artificial pitch.
Which should
more variables.
Not be allowed.
You say it should not. You say it should not be allowed. Do you know how much it would take to level that before you lay the pitch?
It's an artificial pitch, Andy. Surely that's the whole process.
You've got to level it first, though.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to level it, guys.
It's unbelievably expensive.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
especially if it's only a small gradient. Honestly,
how bad is the gradient though?
Shoot from kick-off.
I mean, Andy's very familiar with this because his pitch was literally just in a big hall at one point. So leveling that is, I imagine, is more expensive.
Yeah.
Andy, the face of AFC Wimbledon Plough Lane Bonds as well.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing for him.
Yeah.
Very embarrassing for him.
Changing rooms are in old porter cabins that sit behind the clubhouse.
That's all right, isn't it? That's the level, isn't it?
It's all the ingredients we need. The only ingredient missing to make this a delicious cake is that we would have wanted Vicario in goal for those big long throws.
Oh yes,
Mr. Tickle.
Yeah, Mr. Tickle.
Yeah, they've got quite a good keeper now, Spurs, haven't they? So,
I mean, Vicario's not bad, but Big Pav calls him Mr. Tickle, doesn't he?
Does. Kinski came in and had a good debut, didn't he? So that's
probably
what he'll play. But they will make changes, and it will be the duty of those players who come and will be to show why they should be playing all the time.
And there'll be no VAR, so Andrew won't be kicking off about that.
No, exactly.
Did you hear him when he was saying, you guys in this country can't believe it? It's like, well, it's not just us, is it?
He's got a lot to say for himself, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Big Andy.
Oi, you want to see the real England? You will bloody well do it, Tamworth, mate.
Also, he was completely looking at it the wrong way round. Like, England, as the custodians of football, have dealt with VAR exactly as you would expect England to deal with it.
Better than everyone else, Andy.
I was going to say, by spending 75% of the time arguing about decisions that are actually correct.
And we were one of the last ones, one of the last big leagues in Europe, were we not?
But yeah.
And we were supposed to have automated offsides now, but it's still not been implemented, has it? Because they can't get it sorted.
Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to talk about a possible upset at St James's Park on Sunday at 3 p.m?
Yeah, all right, I'll do that.
Right, Newcastle face Bromley, and Bromley. They've got manager Andy Woodman in charge, who was goalkeeping coach at Newcastle United for 5 seasons. He knows the club. He knows the ins and outs of it all.
His son.
He's Freddie Woodman's dad, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's right. He was also coach at Newcastle when they lost 3-1 to then League Two Stevenage in the third round in 2011.
Look, they've got a record in this competition at this point, but I just think Eddie Howe does think that it's important to win these matches, so they
should be okay.
Probably get through.
Their record has been overall has been really, really bad.
They've made it past
at this level.
They've made it past the 4th round twice in the last 19 seasons. That's the Mike Ashley legacy, baby.
The blood and thunder sort of style of that Newcastle have sort of shown over Christmas, like really turning the screw, really sort of high pressure, pressuring every goalkeeper as soon as the ball gets to his feet. I think we'll be seeing some Mileys this weekend. I think. Well, there'll be some Mileys in there.
Yeah. But will they meet their match with Woodman's Bromley? Because he's described their style of play as effective but not pretty. He said, "I would describe it as winning football. I don't want to play 500 passes across the back line while going nowhere. I don't want an XG of 0.01. I want an XG of 2.39. For me, it's simple maths."
Nice.
Why stop at 2.39?
No, exactly. Why has he selected that?
I don't know.
Is anyone working out the XG of Bromley?
He has.
Level.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
He's done it for us.
He's also, I mean, to be fair, they've done really well, Bromley. I mean, they have up to the Football League. They're safely in mid-table. They're not going to get relegated this season.
Well, it's a
catastrophic happens, and they're in the third round of the FA Cup. That's good.
It really is.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, but as Pete says, Newcastle have been playing really well, so it seems unlikely.
Yeah. So when I was trying to figure out where the upsets would be, obviously I settled on possibly Spurs. I was tempted to settle on Newcastle as well, but just really they feel different now. Like when the draw was made.
Oh, totally, yeah.
It just feels a lot different. And I think the old Newcastle, who would be ripe for this kind of stuff, I don't think they're quite ripe for it now.
No.
So I think it's going to be a very difficult ask for Bromley, particularly at St James's Park as well.
Yeah, you feel like they'll deal with it in quite a joyless, professional way, don't you?
Yeah, it seems like that. Yeah, it seems like it would be. But we'll see. We'll see.
What about if you really are looking for upsets? I mean, Norwich against Brighton. There's a slight possibility there, or are you having a bit of Bristol City v Wolves?
Yeah, I mean, possibly.
Right.
Possibly.
I mean, that's your best chance of a mascot fight.
It's at Bristol City as well.
True.
I think Bristol City might even go off. Not favourites, pretty short price to do okay there. There's not enough. There's not as many fixtures this weekend in the third round as I'd like that are in that kind of sweet spot where you could have it. A really struggling team away from home is what you want.
I reckon tonight there could be an upset.
Oh yeah,
Wycombe Wanderers against
Oh,
Portsmouth.
don't start. That would be an upset to me.
Dean Smith also said you're an encyclopedia of football.
A what?
An encyclopedia of football.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, Jack's Encyclopedia, and because it's FA Cup third round weekend, I've been rested from the game and will be hosting it. Or maybe that's just because I've been really shit.
Dropped,
for
dropped for a very historic competition.
Yeah,
You're not going to play your dad.
You say dropped, I say arrested. No one will ever know the truth. Now, last week, Vish beat Luke 2-0. Come on!
I couldn't argue with it.
Unified 2 belts.
It's impressive.
You know what it is. It's a simple game of categories. If you go too slow, I'll play Gary Neville's Orgasm, which will leave you 7 seconds.
I think this is the first time I've ever played with Donny. So I'm
Is
very
that right?
excited.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Agent of Chaos. How's it going to affect my form? Because I feel very confident against Marcus, Andy, Jim, and
get a load of him.
I don't feel confident against Vish. Yeah. I've never played Pete, so we'll see.
Andy, can we get on with it? He's intimidating
Anyway,
me.
look we've got some great categories today.
I doubt that.
Oh no, we're going to start with every player to score a penalty in the Premier League this season.
Who's going first?
Donny's going first because he's to my left.
Oh.
So what you got?
I've got Alexander Isak, please.
Oh yeah,
He must have.
What? No.
I can't
Flying
believe that.
sick.
Oh,
Can't
dear,
believe
Peter.
that.
Oh, well done. You're supporting fracking.
I'll go for Jamie Vardy.
Mo Salah.
Gotta be. Okay. Bukayo Saka.
Raul Jimenez.
Erling Haaland.
Bruno Fernandes.
Gotta be. I've got him written down. I think João Pedro scored one for Brighton.
He has. Liam Delap.
Oh, good one, Marcus. Well done.
There's still quite a few left.
Yeah.
Jared Bowen.
Oh, of course he has.
Excellent.
How many were there in total, by the way?
19.
And how many have we done?
Less than 19.
Yeah.
Come on.
I went first, didn't I? So it's on Marcus to get one. Yeah.
Yes.
It's Torres to give Chelsea a place
Matthias Cunha.
Champions League final. The headline has been written.
Poor.
I had one more, which is Martin Odegaard, who definitely takes him when Saka's not around.
Yeah, you could have had him. You could have had Ollie Watkins. You could have had Lucas Paquetá, Jordan Ayew, Justin Kluivert, Jean-Philippe Mateta.
Scored a hat-trick at the
Cole Palmer. No one went for Cole Palmer.
my goodness.
I said Haaland, by the way.
Did you? Oh, sorry.
Chris Wood, Brian Mbumo, and Anthony Gordon.
Oh,
Do you know what? I thought of Gordon, but I remember him missing one, and I thought, has he taken another one?
I thought Shea might have taken one. Never mind.
There we go. 1-0 for the Luke Nation. So we go on to number 2, which is the 20 players who... The 20 players.
Oh dear.
The 20 players who've made the most appearances for Steve Bruce throughout his career as manager.
Is it me first? Yeah, it is. Well, if it's me first,
Oh, no.
I would have guessed Alex Bruce.
Oh, come on. Very good.
Oh my goodness.
It's a crapshoot. It's a guess, mate. It's just a guess. Just guess. That's all it is.
Oh my giddy aunt.
Oh, God.
It's
Come on, give me a guess.
Stephen Taylor.
Oh!
No, sure not.
Oh, I didn't mind that as a guess.
I just
Pete?
went.
Can I go
What you
for,
got, Pete?
can I
Come
go
on,
for
Pete.
Jamal Lascelles?
Oh, what a disappointing game.
For crying out
Is this where you
loud.
look at it?
What a disappointing game.
Can I have a
Crying
couple
out
of guesses?
loud.
I've got a couple more guesses.
Okay. But I'm going to have to stop the music.
Okay. I would have thought Jake Livermore.
Jake Livermore is in there. That's a really good
always
one.
a
For some reason,
well done,
do you know
The other
what?
guess I had is Emil Heskey. Is that in there?
Yeah, that's also in there. So basically,
well,
you're
fair
trying
play.
to guess his Cranchars.
Yeah.
You've got Ahmed El Mohammadi,
Yeah.
Alan McGregor, Clinton Morrison, Curtis Davis, Damien
Morrison.
Johnson, David Mailer, Heskey and Livermore, as you said, James Chester, Kenny Cunningham, Mike Taylor, Mario Melchiot,
Oh,
Matthew
wouldn't have guessed
Upson,
that.
Nico Vyson, Olivier Tebili, Sonny Aluko, Stan Lazaridis,
Oh, yeah.
Lazaridis.
Stephen Clements, and Tom Huddleston.
You know what,
Newcastle ones on there.
I honestly, I wasn't even confident. I was trying to remember the bloody teams he'd managed.
Yeah.
That was the difficulty. I thought
remember.
Newcastle, I can remember. I was like, no, not them. They were. There we are. Well done, Luke. Moore.
Well done, Lukey.
Well done.
Vicious
Short
who I
game's a
want.
good game.
Vicious who I want.
Yeah, well, I mean, Pete and I, it's not a belt.
Nah, you're not up for it. That's fair enough.
We don't need a belt. We've put on so much weight over Christmas.
Also, I don't like Andy as a host either. So.
Yeah.
Well done, Andy. Andy, I thought you did very well.
Remember that
It's
for
a bit
next time.
Stephen Mulhern for me.